we have a shocking potential trade coming to the Colorado Avalanche as this management is hyper aggressive. And the player that could be pretty good in the Avs system that definitely needs a change of scenery could be coming to help the dynamic duo of MacKinnon and Makar. And yes, judging by that little teaser in the opening video, that is Elias Pettersson. Now, Elias Pettersson has been a part of some pretty decent amount of drama in the Canucks organization in the last few overall year of this entire season. Him and JT Miller very publicly did not like each other. The organization is pretty much in flames with their best player in a very long time in Quinn Hughes, possibly even leaving. So that organization is absolutely kind of going down in flames right now and could be open to a trade where they could get some good assets from another team trying to win it all, being the Colorado Avalanche. What is up, Avs Nation? This is Avalanche Digest, your one-stop shop for all of your Avs news, and we're going to get right into this pretty interesting prospect. Now, just who is Elias Pettersson? Well, Elias Pettersson, the Eggman, as I like to call him for no reason in particular, is a very good player, but these stats for this year would not suggest that. In 64 games played, he was actually under a point per game. He had only 109 shots, just did not have a good season whatsoever. There's really nothing here you like on the entire left-hand side of these stats. What you do like is his age and his height, being 6'2". Now, an interesting thing about Elias Pettersson is because of the bad season he had, you actually had Rick Tocchet, the former head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. Remember, no offense to Canuck fans, but this organization is kind of going up in flames right now. He said that, yeah, I can bank on him taking this information, that being him needing to get better, going away for 4 months over the summer, and making sure he has a plan, and the plan has to change. Because, and he even said further, I'm not sure he can train the same way. To be honest with you, that's got to change. Definitely some harsh words by the former head coach of Rick Tocchet. And it was actually this article that popped the question in general, that the Avalanche should probably go after Elias Pettersson. Now, Elias Pettersson is not a cheap contract. He actually makes about 11-ish million. Let's pull up the stats right here. Yeah, he actually is signed for about 11.6 per year annual average. Not a cheap contract by any means. Now, the reason why I'd be more comfortable giving this to a guy like Elias Pettersson, who's also from Sweden. I know Rantanen is Finnish, but the comparison is Elias Pettersson is actually a center. He's much younger, and he's on a much longer contract. You can see he's about 6'2", 185, so also kind of a strong player as well. And he's been very good in his career up to this point. Actually, his overall stats are fairly encouraging. I mean, you pretty much see a awesome breakout. He entered the league in about 2020. He had, 2018, the 2019 season. You can see he had 64 points. Pretty solid rookie season. And then he just builds off of it over and over again. He was a stud in that one playoff series he played in the 2020 playoffs. And then from there, you can see had a bit of an injury-ridden season during the COVID years. You can kind of just write that one off. Really takes a step in 22-23 with 102 points. Follows it up with another good year at 89 points. However, the thing was, at the end of that year, he actually went on a huge cold streak and he just stopped producing. And that pretty much continued into the Vancouver Canucks in the next year. He only had 45 points, in absolute regression for a player that looked like he was on the up and up. And what's interesting about all of these regressions is you can see that he regresses, and about the same time where JT Miller leaves the lineup, whether it's injury, whether it's personal issues that he leaves, Elias Pettersson does a lot better. So it was fairly clear that JT Miller was a lot of the cause for him not being good. Now, there are some reasons as to why that could be. Obviously, JT Miller is very intense. He's a lot like Nathan MacKinnon, which might make you think, well, won't Nathan MacKinnon kind of just scare Elias Pettersson or cause him to not play as well either? There's a lot of under-the-scenes drama going on with JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. I'm aware of a little bit of it, and it definitely goes deeper than they just don't like each other. There's a lot of personal turmoil there that is interesting to get into, and I definitely can if you guys want to really ask me for it. But for right now, we'll kind of just focus on actual hockey side of it and not the soap opera of it all, even though it's just so good and spicy. But really, I think JT Miller could honestly be such an intriguing player in general. I think he's fairly interesting. I think that obviously what the article pointed out was the head coach said he needs to train better. And who else to help him train than an organization like the Colorado Avalanche that always seem to find players that could always be doing better. But as you can see, as I look at the current Canucks lineup, this is basically the last time they were healthy. They got Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, who's leaving. They have a lot of turnover. This forward core is kind of a nightmare. Philip Hedl is a very interesting player as well as a 2C, but really the only light you see is Elias Pettersson, and he's a pretty dim light at this point. So the Canucks could potentially be open to quite a bit of trades. Maybe a player like Charlie Coyle to help be a center in replacement. Maybe a player like Ross Colton, who, as much as I love, he's kind of been too much of an up and down player and has not been able to really carry himself or carry a line without the help of other players. You saw him play great in just the start of last season, but really fell off even when he was playing with top talent. And then he went cold for months and months at a time and only really got better when Charlie Coyle was added. Now, that's not a knock on Ross Colton, but if you're playing a player, a third line player, $4 million, and the fact that he can't really hold his own, that's just not good contract value for a guy that they thought would be able to do that. That's why he's making $4 million. So you could see a player like potentially Ross Colton being moved. You could see a player potentially like Charlie Coyle be moved. Or if the Canucks are really asking for someone good, a player like Valeri Nichushkin. There are definitely a lot of players. The Avalanche are rich at wing. They're not rich at center. So you could be looking to move off of a bad contract like Charlie Coyle and maybe add in a good player like Valeri Nichushkin. Both players would really help the depth of the Vancouver Canucks. So there's definitely a lot of options as to what could go on. But just for fun, I thought it would be really interesting to talk about another one of my favorite players that the Avalanche could add, and that is Marco Rossi. He's actually coming off his career best season with the Minnesota Wild, 60 points, 24 goals, and the stats are pretty interesting. He's not the best offensive player. I mean, obviously he's not bad. He was a 9th overall pick in, I think, 2020, and was fairly productive at offense. Obviously wasn't point per game, but let's actually take a look. And yeah, I was right. 2020, 9th overall by the Minnesota Wild. But he's a player whose contract is actually up this season. So if you're saying to the Elias Pettersson thing, that's absolutely impossible. The Avalanche are not going to be able to sign a guy like Elias Pettersson. Fine. It's an interesting idea. The Avs would definitely have to trade a lot for Elias Pettersson and also get the Canucks to retain a little bit of that salary, because $11 million is way too difficult to have your two top centers making over $10 million. That's crazy a piece. And over $11 million, it's not even, it's worse than that. But a guy like Marco Rossi could honestly be very interesting. You can see that he is signed by the Minnesota Wild. He's actually making like league minimum. He's not making a lot of money. So a guy like this, you can just give 6.5. 7 would probably be a stretch, but you never know with the cap going up. Players might just be like, nah, give me the money. So it could be fairly interesting with a guy like Marco Rossi. But as you can see, he might be a smaller player. He's like 5'9", 5'10", but he's a heavy guy, 192, and he absolutely plays big. You would not think that he's 5'10" watching him skate around, especially the guy who's only about an inch or two off from being Samuel Girard. He's actually quite an interesting player. As you can see, he's been decent in every league he's been in. The NHL took a little bit for him to get going, but he's a very young player. As you can see, he only has 3-ish full seasons playing for hopefully he plays for the Colorado Avalanche or the Minnesota Wild. So you can see that actually he's been fairly productive. 51 points in his... Oh, wait, no, that's the AHL. That's what I was saying. He's really good in other leagues, but the NHL, it kind of took him a little while to really break in. 40 points in his first actual full season, and 60 in his next. And as you can see, 82 games apiece. Actually, he's gone 2 full seasons without missing a single game, including a playoff stretch just this last playoff series for them against the Vegas Golden Knights. So he's also a fairly healthy player, which is huge for the Colorado Avalanche, which have been injury ridden in prior seasons. Really, I like both of these players. Give me Marco Rossi and give me Elias Pettersson would be even better. It would be so interesting to truly fix this roster for the Colorado Avalanche. And it would be pretty cost effective too, especially if maybe Charlie Coyle has moved out, or if you keep Charlie Coyle, then you have a pretty strong middle six center depth. Either way, I'm interested. Let me know what you guys think, Avalanche Nation. This has been Avalanche Digest. Don't forget to subscribe and comment down below what you think, and have a good one.